Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the weapon refine analysis at long last for June 2019? June 2019. What we have here are some fine candidates for weapon refines. I implore you to take a look at the information that I will present to you in an objective and practical, keyword practical fashion, okay? I've read and heard a lot of hype in the wrong places and just misinformation all over, okay? So I'm going to cover all four of these units and I'll show you the best way to use them based on obviously my experience in tier 27 AR and above. Yeah, okay. Everything is oriented towards AR gameplay because that is where your investments in these units matter. So I will not assume PvE content. I will not assume arena. I'm not going to assume abyssals because that content can be completed with anything you really like, whatever investments you make. Let's strictly look at a method, like the actual gameplay that requires risks and tons of, there is no trial and error in AR, and that's what that makes that mode different than all the others. You can pretty much use crests, retries, all you want, everything else. But when it comes to AR, what you choose to invest in and how you use these units plays a big factor when you run into certain comps and how you use these units and strats, okay? So that's, with all that being said, let's take a look at Kagero first. Here she is, Kagero's Dart. Now I'm gonna say this right away. This is actually who I think is the biggest winner of the four, okay? This is the best refine here. And the reason it's the best refine is because, one, she's colorless. Ha 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 ha, right? Okay, colorless is really good because it doesn't have any big weaknesses right now until Leon gets his refine. The second part to it is, of course, that it works to basically make her better at every job she was already doing or could have done. Before she was outclassed by Soth, but now she does Soth's job better in some ways. Soth is still better in other ways. Like, for example, Soth is still better to infantry pulse other units on an AR defense team because he has higher HP, or Kagero is more likely to be the recipient of infantry pulse effects. So that's a bigger difference there. But anyways, what I'll cover is first Kagero as what I think is a good way to use her on AR offense. So here it is. So don't use, first of all, don't use a special refine on AR offense. It can work to set up Vantage, but I don't think it's very consistent. It's just better to pump her attack a little bit more. The attack refine gives you one extra attack, but since there's a conditional effect here that compares her attack with the enemy attack, it is actually important to get that extra attack there, because then you also get additional attack on top of it. She's pretty much the only range unit in the game, bar Lilina on player phase, that gets like 19 attack on initiation. Like, that's ridiculous. It's very, very powerful, and that really synergizes super well with her high attack stat, creating one of the best close counter Vantage units in the game in the 3 and 4 star pool. Super good, consistently strong unit. Also helps that, of course, the daggers have the defense smoke built in, so you can run stuff like attack smoke to even help her Kagero's Dart. She's pretty much going to win all attack checks and get that base condition effect easily because of stuff like attack smoke, because she already has a high base attack, because she's easy to merge. So all these things add up. Of course, if you use raise and attack res, the condition is even easier. Like, she has pretty much 65, 70 attack easily with buffs to meet that check all the time. Now, the reason I'm using stuff like Brazen Attack Res and Attack Smoke instead of stuff like Savage Blow is because Kagero has a secondary good effect, which if you use her in the light season, is if you see AoE mage nukers or just mage nukers in general with Hardy Bearing, she has such a good res stat that post buffs, and this is without buffs, that she can reach like 50, 60 res easily and actually survive those Hardy Bearing units. So if they're in the back line, Kagero has a really good spot to just not care about those units in the back hitting her because of Brazen, sets up her Vantage easily, wins all the attack checks, one-shots everything. It's actually beautiful how you could use this unit now on air offense because this weapon enables her to have so much good solid damage and literally one-shots most squishy units on the front line. Now combine that with a bolt tower on offense and you're in a good spot. So this is the way the Kagero should be used on offense. I think some alternative to this, just to give it a shout out, of course, if you don't use Kagero's Dart on offense, is to use Ouch Pouch with a pre-charge like Blazing or Growing Wind to just really melt everything in general to really low HPs because she's a recipient of infantry pulse. But this is not unique to Kagero, so we're just covering Kagero's Dart. Okay, and now the scariest thing that I do not want to see on AR defense going forward is this. I don't want to see this. It's pretty much free to play Alm. Do not do this. You will make my AR experience a living nightmare. Okay, great. Why does this work? Because Kagero's dart enables Kagero to become a disgusting tank that cannot die, sets up dances, wings of mercies. You cannot double this unit back because she uses stuff like sturdy impact and null follow-up. The only way to double her back through the special refine of Kagero's dart is to run null follow-up on your own tank, and in this case probably have around 50 speed. So this is gross, and if she survives, which she probably will, because her bulk here, because of Kagero's dart reducing the damage of the first attack that you retaliate on, you need a tank with over 100 attack and either attack or magical damage to kill her. Now, if you set this up properly on an AR defense team where she is basically a rally trap, that's why we have a rally resistance there, hits another unit, rallies, gets danced, and goes in, initiates first, and survives, you're setting up a bunch of Wings of Mercy and other nukers, and it's a nightmare scenario. So Kagero became from a decent unit on AR defense to an absolute nightmare on AR defense, and this is how you would do it, and I don't want to see it because it's going to be really, you basically cannot tank that team with proper Wings of Mercy setups and dancers and whatever. She is literally the free-to-play Alm version here, but instead of doing like massive damage like Alm does, she can't die. It's very difficult to kill this. Very, very difficult to kill this. So Kagero is, in my eyes, one of the best units in the game now because this refine is so flexibly good in both offense and defense now. If you already had a Kagero, great. I have a Kagero. I have 14 books, but I don't have a plus attack Kagero. In the long term, I probably will consider Kagero as well. Really, really gross. Now, you can also use stuff like HP speed seal on the seal if you want to make her even more indestructible and still keep her speed in check. It's just do it, try it, and you'll see what I mean. Anyways, next up, Oscar. It's been a while since we've covered Oscar. He's still a good unit, but there's not really much to say about Oscar. He's just a better Gale Force unit. In my opinion, I probably wouldn't merge Oscar anymore because you can just use parry instead. Parry's a little bit better at enemy, like ending a turn of Gale Force and then just surviving stuff. You don't even want to really use a special refine because the place that melee calves have right now in air offense is to just Gale Force. And the special refine doesn't really do him much favors. Unless he's the follow-up unit, there could be a place for it there where he follows up and then gives speed and attack and also gains it. So if he's like the secondary unit to go in, then Oscar is pretty good in that spot to use a special refine, but that's very conditional, and just having the extra speed is better. With buffs, Oscar here will do fine to pretty much be a Gale Force unit, but as I said, with double rally and Lancebreaker being unique to him, I think he's just better as fodder, and you should use parry instead at this day and age. A secondary way that I would see Oscar being used is maybe as a support unit, because infantry units don't have access to goad buffs, or ward buffs for that matter. So you could do something like this to give quad buffs. Fortress Defense is pretty good here with a plus defense boon, and if you give him Merges and Flowers, he could be a chill defense sulker. So that's pretty cool. Quad buffs, kill Cynthia, and there you go. That's a decent way. Since he's a cavalry, it's easier to use tactics buffs with him. Kind of like a pseudo Seth, I guess. Something like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much Oscar. Just made him better. That's all. Next up is Elincia. Now, I think this refine, again, is just the same as the Oscar effect. Just made her better, and that's cool and all. But the thing with Elincia is she's a 5-star exclusive. So 5-star exclusives means, well, she's not really, as a red flyer, she doesn't really have a place that isn't different for someone like Sheeta. Like, if you're going to run a Gale Force flyer in air offense, then you should be using Sheeta. You shouldn't be using Elincia. Or you'd be using somebody with Slaying Edge and like Heavy Blade instead with Gale Force, and that's probably even more consistent. So the refine itself doesn't really do anything for her, and she wasn't really going to be used as a Gale Force unit anyways. So the best way to use Elincia post-refine is to just use her as you would have already used her, which is on a flyer ball. Now, I've covered flyer balls in one of my previous AR defense videos. So go ahead and check that out in the YouTube channel. Should be somewhere there. Go dig through the videos, you'll find like an ultimate AR defense guide. I'll be updating that as soon as I finalize the final version, of course, and even more defense teams to come. Maybe some AR offense matches as well to come. But basically, Elincia, she wants merges. As a flyer ball, one of the most important things to have is frontline flyer bulk. And if you don't have merges, a frontline flyer like Elincia, regardless of the amount of offensive power she has, can get sniped, and that puts your flyer ball on AR defense at a big weakness. So if you don't already have like a high merge Elincia, then she's not really doing much with this refine. Yeah, PvE content aside and everything else, it's all great and all. She becomes one of the best at that, but that's not what we're talking about here. Best way to use Elincia is on a flyer ball, and she got better because of this refine, creating out some extremely good pressure as a red flyer. I think besides her and Pala, and Leg Yarn are like the best units to have on a flyer ball, for red at least. Okay, finally, and the all-star of the weapon refines, the guy carrying his own star, haha, Saizo himself. So this is where we're gonna really break down why this is not a good weapon refine, okay? And it has nothing to do with the weapon refine itself or the weapon, okay? Nothing to do with that. It's literally all Saizo himself, okay? So Saizo, if you just point your attention to where's the res stat, you'll realize that is not a good res stat. That is a +10 summoner supported double air HP res plus res Saizo at 39 res. That is awful. That is absolutely terrible, because you need visible res in AR offense to use him as a tank, or he will get absolutely murdered by AoE specials. Like stuff like Ophelia having 60 attack on her AoE special, which, by the way, just 60 attack is not going to work really well for him, because that's already 30 damage. A Blazing Wind with 60 attack, he doesn't matter what his Saizo star does. It doesn't matter, because it's all in combat. Even if he's getting all these stats, a 60 attack Ophelia just did 30 damage to Saizo just off the AoE special, not including the in combat damage. Now that's just Ophelia, and not even the best kinds of Ophelias. This is not even like +10. This is not post rallies dance Ophelias. That is just like a standard Ophelia non-merge, just hitting you for 60 attack, and boom, there's half your health gone. So that is terrible, and this is the best case scenario for Saizo. Now, of course, with Pulse Smoke, you can kind of try to disable that AoE special, but as I said, a good AR defense team isn't just going to expose the biggest nuker on the front line. It should be somewhere in the back, it should be post rallies, it should be difficult for, to be sniped, or to even be hit by a Pulse Smoke. So Saizo can work if he can set up, but he's not going to be able to set up in a lot of cases. That's why he's not consistent, and that's why his low res is absolutely going to murder him. If he wasn't a unit with 16 base res, he would be amazing with this weapon. But because res is a desirable stat, it's not so good. There you go, now he has a res stat. My bath cam has this res stat without having to meme. All right, moving on. Now I wanted to actually provide a visible example of why Saizo's res being 39 is actually really bad. So this Alina, Astra's a meme, by the way. Non-charge special. You were able to successfully pulse smoke this Alina and debuff her. So her attack is 54, 4 Blaze brings it to 60, and Deathblow brings it to 68. So even with all that considered, and Saizo having 45 res once he gets that difference, he still takes 24 damage from Lalina here, who doesn't have a special charged, and Saizo had the best case scenario. This is just from a Lilina, without considering that there's probably an Ophelia on the team, maybe a Deirdre, maybe a Sonya, maybe Soth or whatever, everyone else on the team, he's probably gonna die to Legendary Azura, okay? Like, that's how funny it is that his res stat is the way it is. So, you know, this is a visible example of why low res will hurt him and will not work as an ideal Omega tank for AR. And finally, I want to take a quick look at another build that some people would have considered for Saizo, which is this. This is the close counter advantage version of him. I'm still not a huge fan of this either, because it's still significantly less attack than Kagero, which is who we covered first. If you actually look here, Kagero has 59 attack, Saizo has 52. Same exact build, but the problem is Kagero gets 4 attack off of her Kagero's Dart, which is an easy condition to meet. Saizo needs to debuff, which isn't always guaranteed to get that attack buff. And Kagero still debuffs by 7 on the attack and defense, where Saizo gains 6 attack. So the difference is still going to be about like 6 difference or so. And when it comes to CC Vantage units, you need as much attack as possible, and low res could be a big problem. As I mentioned earlier, if your hardy bearing nukers are found in the back line of an AR defense team and you use someone like Saizo and he can't reach that unit, he's very likely going to die within Vantage range, whereas someone like Kagero can actually survive it post buffs. So, you know, out of all these things said, the point I'm trying to make is that Saizo gets a bunch of stats, but it doesn't go in places he wants it to go because of how the metagame is shaped right now, which is big mages will do this to Saizo. Okay, this piece of paper is Saizo. Okay, that didn't go the way we planned. Let's try again. Aha! Saizo's dead. See, that was the best case scenario. That was miracle. And it procced the first time, and then the second nuker came and just killed him anyways. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes things go your way. Alright guys, that was pretty much the weapon refine analysis today. So thank you for watching. Keep yourself informed, keep the discussion true, and if you're looking for more, of course the Discord is down here in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next video. As I mentioned in my unit analysis comparisons video recently, more videos to come. Gonna look for more content to produce. I'm also traveling all of summer, so there's gonna be some gaps, but again, keep up on Twitter or Discord for those sort of announcements, okay? Maybe some vlogs as well on YouTube. Give video a thumbs up, sub to the channel, leave a comment. See you guys in the next one. Peace!